All right. Welcome to the first official episode of 2021 here on Tuesdays with Audie. And today's topic is inequality, and I'm your host, Audie. Yes, guys, I had to throw it in there because inequality is today's topic. So, thank you all for tuning in to the monologue for 2020 and watching those and sending me your feedback and everything. But here it is that we're gonna get back into what it is that we enjoy doing, which is having conversations about stuff. And so, as I stated, inequality. What is it? I know we talk about it, we're looking for equality and so many other things, but instead of looking at this topic from an abstract concept, I'm gonna start off with specific and then I'm gonna generalize it. So first of all, we all think that, or we all know that inequality is something that we experience in society. But before we even take it into society, let's look at the home and the way that the home is constructed. If you don't think that there's inequality inside your home, I don't know what kind of household you've been living in. The parents are the head, what they say goes, and the kids are trying to figure out how they can get as much as possible from their parents in terms of negotiating. That's if you have a parent that's willing to listen to what the hell you gotta say in order for you to actually get what you want. If you come from a Caribbean household, you likely do not get a say in anything that goes on. Perfect example. Myself, whatever mommy said goes. There's no ifs or ands about it. You could scream, you could holler, you could throw a tantrum. At the end of it, if I take care of the bills, if I'm putting you in school, if I'm doing this and I'm doing that, then you have no say in how it is that you should be raised. Oh Lord, I think the whole congregation in the back there is clapping their hands because in terms of you from the Caribbean, I think a lot of us have experienced this. I believe, depending on what your socioeconomic class is, it tends to be a little bit more severe if you come from lower middle class or even below that, which is usually the poverty line. We can go ahead and think about in terms of what it is a child wants from their parents and what the parents feel as though is best for the child. They're trying to make sure that they give the child what is best for them while the child is trying to negotiate or trying to get things that are coming from the bottom up and trying to get what they feel as though is necessary for them to have their best possible life. Take for example, let's just say, you as a child, you go to your parents and say, Mom, Dad, can I get a phone for Christmas or can I get a phone for my birthday? And they decide, okay, well, yes, I'm going to get you a phone. And they get you a phone. And let's just say they didn't necessarily get you the phone that you wanted. You asked for a phone and they got you a phone, but it wasn't specifically the one that you wanted. Now, you are, as a child, feeling as though you weren't treated fairly because you probably wanted an iPhone. And all your friends have an iPhone, and you felt as though your parents needed to understand that when you asked for a phone, you meant an iPhone. But being as parents, they went and got you something that would serve the utility of you being able to contact your friends, them, and as well as doing whatever it is else you wanted to do on the phone. So now feeling untreated, you tell your parents, it's like, you should have known that I wanted an iPhone. But then it's like, how am I supposed to know that if you didn't tell me it? And even if you do tell me it, how me spending my money on this iPhone is going to benefit me as a parent at the end of the day? So, okay, let's take it out of the house. You don't have to answer this. You don't have to answer it. Some of you are already parents, some of you are kids, but none of us, we don't have to answer this question. Now, let's take this same family structure in terms of these situations, in terms of inequality that we have inside the household, and look at it in terms of society as a whole. So you have people at the top feeling as though they are doing their best for everybody else. And you have people at the bottom feeling as though they are not treated fair, but they want to get as much as possible from the situation. And you have this entire gap in the middle where people just don't communicate and don't actually meet up so that they can understand where each other is coming from and be able to appreciate the perspective in which each of them have to present. So when we see all of these social movements, when we hear about these gender inequalities, we hear about these wage gaps, anything that has to do with social in terms of society will likely have inequality. How is it that it's possible in a world where we can have one person making more money on a yearly basis than an entire GDP of an entire country? If that isn't inequality, I don't know what else is. I don't know what else it is. How is it that you can have certain people in terms of their skin color feeling as though they deserve to have certain things, while you have other people feeling as though they're being suppressed and not necessarily treated fairly in order for them to get the things that they need in order for them to survive? You know, this entire riot that happened recently on the 6th of January, I think it was, and the Black Lives Matter movement that happened in the summer, kind of show you the entire different perspective in which the two Americas, they say two Americas, but let's call it an unequal America. It's an unequal America, that suppression and suppressor. The suppressor feels as though they're doing what is best. The ones under suppression feel as though they're not getting enough. And the suppressor feel as though even if I give you being suppressed a little more, it will never be enough for you to be satisfied, because you will always want more, because it's never enough for you. It's almost like when we say the saying, it's like you give someone an inch and they want to take an entire mile. So giving the people in suppression an inch, the suppressor feel as though they are going to take a mile, which is going to undermine the authority and the power that they have in order for them to keep their suppressive power. Boy, I don't know. So with this riot, like I mentioned, the Black Lives Matter movement, you notice like there was two different entire outcome in terms of the way the situation was handled. So you had the Black Lives Matter movement, where people trying to overcome certain social conditions and trying to feel as though they're getting justice for what they feel as though is necessary for them to maintain their livelihood, and not necessarily being killed for just doing some basic stuff here in this United States of America. But you know, black people are fighting for their lives and the dignity in order for them to survive and live until they can see a certain age, so that they can watch their kids grow and be able to breathe at night and do the little things that just matter. And then when we saw on January 6th, we saw Caucasian class in terms of them being suppressors and feeling as though they demand to have these things. And if you don't give me it, I'm gonna do everything in my given power for me to get the thing that I actually want. And if you gonna stand in my way, then I am gonna use my force for me to get what I want, and you cannot do anything about it. And you know, we say the black people and the suppressed people are trying to overcome suppression. And the Caucasian and the people that have the power are just saying, I'm just coming over and I'm going to take what is mine. And if that's, oh my gosh, if that's not inequality, if that's not a problem that we have in society, this is a social problem which started in the house, and it's taken its claws and clawed its way into society, and the oppressor versus the suppressor. And this whole entire gap in the middle, where the suppressors feel as though they demand these things and they got to take it any way, any form, or anyhow possible to get what they need. And those in suppression, I feel as though they got to fight for the little that they have. And if they can just get a little bit more, maybe it will close the gap. But the more that we get, the further and further it feels that this carrot on a stick that we have stuck on our head chasing is getting away from us, because the gap just seems to be just spreading further and further apart. And the more that we highlight it in society, the less and less people want to talk about it, because it is too disheartening. It doesn't sit well in terms of bringing the attention. It just isn't easy to digest, because it's not what brings the views. And if it doesn't bring the views, if it doesn't make the news, then we don't talk about it, because we are all about keeping your attention and what's newsworthy, and we determine what is newsworthy. And who do you think determines who's newsworthy? Of course, we all know the answer to that, but I'm not going to say that. You leave that and you answer that yourself. But until someone from that particular line is affected by the suppression aspect, then it makes the news, and then we want to pay attention to it. Because what's the point of paying attention to something that we don't feel as though it's a problem to us? And that right there, ladies and gentlemen, is the way that this inequality situation continues to grow. If it doesn't affect me, I don't have to pay any attention to it. But once it affects me, then I'm going to start to pay attention to it. But being that you've been in suppression for such a long time, everything that the suppressor does seems to be or does require your attention, and it does affect you. So every day feels as though it's a dogfight and you're fighting against something that just never seems to go away. It's like fighting against yourself. There's no winner, there's no loser. There is this empty void that just keeps sucking up all of this screaming that you are doing for it, and it goes away. And then after you're done with that, just hope and pray that one day, maybe just one day, that it will change. If it's one thing I know, time is a beautiful thing, but time in terms of gaps, time widens the gap and doesn't necessarily close it. And so if we just keep sitting on our butts waiting for time to heal this problem, it's most likely, in terms of what I understand from rates, oh Lord, it's likely it may turn out to be something that's even worse. So ladies and gentlemen, I'm sorry to start off the new year in terms of such a, I don't know, such a distasteful topic. But I'm not going to say that I'm not going to stand around and not say anything with it, because now I have a voice. I just prefer, just say something about it. Because why? This is a problem that we all are facing. And no matter which side of the line that you are from, or which side of it that you are in, eventually we are all going to be affected by this situation, whether we like it or not. So, sorry guys, with that said, peace, love, and enjoyment. Deuces, I'm outie. And maybe I'll come next time with something that you guys can laugh about. So, deuces.